I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was gonna open this video with a funny joke where I would be at the character select screen of training mode, and then I would be like, hey, the #1 buff to Kimberly this patch is fucking Akuma being in the game. We're so bad. But you know what? Kim actually got a lot of changes this patch. Like, she got like an insane amount of stuff for the Season 2 patch. And I got a lot of stuff to go through today. So let's get it started. First off, I just want to say, I did like a lot of complaining about Kim in the past, and almost everything that I had gripes with has been addressed. There's a few things that are still kind of whack with her, like you can perfect parry elbow drop on reaction and it's minus on block, and she doesn't really have any grid low still. But almost every single other thing that I was wanting out of this character has been fixed, and honestly I think she's a rather complete, pretty damn good character now. So Kimberly has like a few smaller changes here and there. Her modern routes have changed a little bit. She's still terrible in modern. Her stand light kick got a little bit less pushback, but I don't think this is really useful in anything. Maybe some people were saying this kind of loop works a lot easier now, whereas before they would get pushed out eventually. But it's not a huge change. Her stand medium kick, it now builds a tiny bit more super gauge. So you land this button like a lot each round, so you know, like, what is that, a bit more than 20% extra super gauge meter, 40% more meter gotten from this button. It's pretty good. It'll rack up across the round. But immediately after these changes, you start getting into the real gas. So, crouching medium punch, it does 500 damage up from 450, and it's got its pushback reduced. So, what this allows is, primarily, after drive rush cancel crouch heavy punch, usually in the previous patch, you would just go run stop, crouch medium punch, stand medium punch. But with the reduced pushback, you're actually left close enough to get a second medium punch and still be in range for the stand medium punch. So this just leaves you with marginally more corner carry, and you also get 100 more damage because you get the extra medium punch in there. And just like the medium punch doing a bit more damage is also very nice, because oftentimes like you would kind of like not want to use this medium punch as much as stand medium punch, just because the damage difference was 90 damage. Now it's only 40 damage, so it's not that bad. There's a few like quality of life changes, but this quality of life change is actually a rather big deal. So one thing that was kind of annoying in the previous patch is that, say you were trying to do some run oki, didn't get the run stop in time, Kimberly would just do this animation where she would run into them, and then she would just like stop and be minus 24, completely inactionable. It's like a free punish for the opponent. So now in the current patch, they gave her this quality of life improvement where she just keeps running if you hold forwards. So that should make it a lot easier to go for stuff like this. So normally after like run kick midscreen, you'd go for the meaty overhead. Sometimes you're trying to like bait people doing perfect parry though. So now that becomes a lot easier to get the throw part of the mix up there as well without spending any meter. Because before it was kind of risky to go for the run stop there, because if you didn't hit the run stop properly, you might like push yourself too far away and not get the throw, or you would do it too late and then you would get like punished for max damage. Now you have a lot more like leeway to do this and get the throw. Previously, like, I wouldn't even go for the run stop, I would just go for this. I would just drive rush in, because it's like so much less risky and you don't need any timing. But now the run stop is a lot easier. It's very, very nice actually. There's a bunch of little changes at first, but it'll ramp up. So this OD torso cleaver does more drive gauge damage, but this is pretty much useless because even from Kimberly's best cancelable button, there's still a 4-frame gap. So this is never a true block string unless it's in Burnout. And in Burnout, I was informed that the drive gauge damage isn't what chip damage is based off of. So the only practicality I could see from this would be like a psycho type reset, where he'll like intentionally drop a combo into ortho cleaver to try and like get some drive gauge damage. Because if they were at like 1 bar or less, then resetting into this could actually do a good amount of drive gauge damage, or +3 after, so you could pretty much burn them out for free, if they respect it at least. But OD Torso Cleaver is probably like one of her worst moves. You pretty much never see it except in combos, so it doesn't really matter too much. And now onto a gas change. So a big problem with Kimberly is that like she doesn't really have any like big heavy swing buttons. She's kind of just got like the stand medium kick and a crouch heavy kick as pokes, whereas a lot of characters like Ken have like a big heavy swingy button that you can just like throw out there as like a long distance poke or like a far range whiff punish. And like this missing from your neutral makes it a lot more linear, especially when Kimberly also doesn't really have a low. So in the previous patch, you kind of just didn't have a poke at that range. Your poke was drive rush jab, which with like the screen freeze and everything, like yes, this drive rush jab is extremely degenerate and it's extremely strong, but it was like just pretty much worse than like a standard like heavy kick poke or heavy punch poke that a lot of characters have, because they have like their heavy option as well as drive rush jab. So now with the current patch, they didn't give her any heavy button, but they changed a lot of the properties on light elbow. So as you can see there, it's got 3 active frames now, and on block, it's down to -5. They also changed how the active frames work, so it's rather easy to space this out. So on block, you can space this to be -3. So this is safe if spaced. This is great for starting burnout pressure, because in burnout, this will be plus. You'll get like a light kick after. This is really good as just like as a poke, because if you get the spaced version, you'll get a light kick after. It'll be +5 on hit. And where this really starts getting strong is if you land a counter hit with it. Because if you land a counter hit with this, it goes from +5 to +7. And all of a sudden, you're landing mediums from a meterless hit in neutral. That was another kind of big problem that Kimberly had. She wouldn't really get to land hits in neutral without meter. All you could get really was like stand medium kick hit confirms, or just random buffers in neutral, which, you know, every character has that. But now she actually has like a tool where she can get these hits in neutral and the big damage and start her neutral or her pressure from some hit in neutral. This is like great for like stopping people from just like walking back a lot too, because you can throw this out, stuff their buttons, they won't really be able to check this. And it's great as a whiff punish as well, because if you land punish counter, you get heavies. This does a shit ton of damage. And just with the spacing as well, like, you're left way too far away to be thrown. So, like, this is, like, relatively safe. Like, you can perfect parry to try and steal your turn back, or you can usually just, like, walk out of their string. So, this tool is insanely strong. Like, you just get so much neutral application, like, bigger punishes, general safety. If you, like, drop a combo, you're only -5, so you get hit by lights instead of mediums. This change is huge. I really like how they went through this route as well, because if they just gave her a heavy, like, it's not as interesting, you know? This really, like, lets her walk speed and spacing shine, so, like, you're not just, like, throwing at a button. Like, your spacing, your walk speed is really applicable. So another big problem Kimberly had was she didn't really have, like, a great anti-air outside of this crouch heavy punch, which didn't really work against cross-ups. It lost to a lot of like different angled jumps. It especially lost to stuff like Luke's jump heavy punch, Ken's jump heavy punch, stuff like that. So there was a lot of like angles that she couldn't fill, because Kimberly's Tatsus previously didn't have any invul until the active frame started. So she would be completely vulnerable for those first 6 frames. So any sort of deep jump in would just hit her before you had time to react, really. Now with the new patch, she's got the hurt box on her head reduced. Or there's a very noticeable difference between head invulnerability, or like no head hitbox, and full like air invulnerability. So with like regular DPs like Jury, Ken, Luke, Ryu, CAMMY, etc., they just have full invulnerability to anything in the air as soon as they start doing the move. So from frame like 1 and onward, they're just completely invulnerable. But with Kimberly, she's still got the ability to be hit here. So this change is really good against normal jump-ins, but Kimberly's still going to lose very badly to characters with dive kicks, or anything that like hits you extremely early, because she's not invulnerable, it's just her head doesn't have a hurt box. So this works terribly against dive kicks, but against regular jump-ins, this will do just fine. Even super late, it still works. She gets a punish counter. So in the previous patch, these would just counter hit Kimberly and she would die. This is gonna like fix her matchup a lot against Luke and Ken especially, because before they would sort of just like overload the mental stack by playing neutral until they got impatient, and then they would jump. And since you're playing neutral, you're focused on the ground game, their jump in would be too fast to react to with anything except OTHER Tatsu, which doesn't give you Oki. So that shit was ass. You also gotta spend 2 bars for that. So now she can actually anti-air people, which is fantastic. And on top of that, she's got a new way to deal with cross-ups as well. Because this Tatsu, it's not a DP input, but you can cross-cut with it. I'm not good at this, and I'm not doing it in this video because I haven't practiced this shit at all. But it's very possible to cross-cut with this, and it's a new option that just makes her a more solid, functional character. You're not going to get robbed anymore by shit that any other character would have been able to anti-air. And even though these don't work against dive kicks, Kim's got new options to beat dive kicks. So, as I said before, like the reason why this is so bad to OTHER Tatsu dive kicks and such was because you would do this, and then you're left plus 21 from half screen. So if you dash forward, you're plus 3 and you're way too far to do anything with this. So you would have to spend 3 bars to get anything off of an anti-air. And honestly, if you're the CAMMY player in this context, you did a dive kick, you took 1500 damage, and you drained 3 bars. Like, your dive kick just, like, you took 1.5 throws, and you did 3 drive gauge damage to them. That is an insanely good trade for the CAMMY player. Like, you do not want to be doing this if you're the Kim player. Like, I got down so bad, I started throwing a can and being minus 20 after this shit. Because no one knew how to punish it, and then I would just do YOLO bullshit from here. But now, we've got quite the upgrade. So, it's not ideal because you have to spend level 2. But we have this new cancel here. So 3100 damage, you're plus 22, so after a dash, you're plus 4 point blank. So now if you get like a good solid anti-air, you do a ton of damage, you get Oki afterwards, and as you can see, Kimberly regains pretty much an entire bar during the level 2 animation, because supers will let you regen bars if you haven't used Drive Rush yet in the combo. So for 1 bar, essentially, you get 3100 damage and Oki. You probably won't get the level 3 buff later in the game, but for this much damage and the ability to probably land this 1 to 2 more times in the match, this is actually really, really good to dissuade people from using dive kicks. And it's insanely good to close out rounds as well. Not only that, but there's a lot of application for this in combos as well. Like that corner combo there. I believe previously you would have to go into like this. Actually, I don't even know if you get anything there. I think you just do this. So right there, like, you get, like, so much more damage. Nice 600 more damage there. In this sort of situation as well. There's just a lot of new places where you can use this route, get a bunch of damage, get Oki, and then regain your bar after. So this level 2 was pretty garbage before, because you didn't really have a great way of landing it. Like, you could do air tattoos to land it, you could... Honestly, it was pretty much just the air tatsu. That shit was so ass. But now you kind of have, like, a viable way to do damage and get rid of your super without using level 3. On first glance, this might look like a nerf, but this is actually probably Kimberly's biggest buff. So EX Air Grab now scales combos by 20% if it's ever used in a combo, but it's got its juggle limit increased. You've probably seen me doing this throughout the video, but this juggle limit is insane. So EX Air Grab here will add so much corner carry to any combo. See, like, she gets 2 bars, she gets half the meter back during the combo, and so much more damage. Like, this is actually insane. Like, previous patch, if I wanted to spend 2 bars here, it would be a lot worse. Like, I lose 1/3 of the corner carry here, I lose, like, a ton of damage. And this change is just insane. It's not just like this heavy elbow where you get the air grab either. There's a lot more routes where you can land a lot of ridiculous things. You can even land like 2 air grabs in 1 combo. I don't know if that's optimal, but it's sick. You can land this after a DI wall splat now. And in the previous patch, you would have had to spend a drive rush here to get that juggle, which would scale the combo horrifically. She's got a bunch of stuff from punish counters, so she gets the air grab from heavy kick. Previously, she would just have to do a raw EX air grab if she wanted that, so that's a pretty good route to go for. And the EX elbow as well. This move used to be utterly useless. I don't know if there was any use for this move other than to gimmick people with this overhead setup you got. But now, this EX elbow is actually like an insane buffer now. So yeah, like this EX elbow went from pretty much nothing to having another 50% corner carry and a ton more damage. So this thing is great for closing out rounds. But not only that, Kimberly didn't really get the opportunity to land air grab in the previous patch. Like, she would have to spend 5 bars for it with this route, or land it in like very niche hardened, or what's it called, the float state on like Dulcim float and Kimberly or CAMMY dive kicks, Kimberly elbow drop and all that. So you kind of never really got to use any of the sauce that came with EX air grab, because if you just look at this move by itself, this is plus 98 on hit. So that is a lot of frame advantage to like use for mix-ups and all that. Some of the things I like to do, you can get like a meaty overhead here. Yeah, meaty low. You could even hit them on the other side. Obviously, you can stay same side. And you can even get mid-screen can setups now. And probably one of the most underrated things is just the fact that you don't have to spend drive wrench anymore. Because, like, previously, after this heavy elbow, you didn't really have a great way of converting into damage and corner carry, or just, like, getting a can setup in general, without spending, like, hella meter. Because before, you would do something like that most of the time, and since you introduced a dry rush into that combo, you wouldn't gain any meter back during this combo. And if you use like 2 drive rushes, that was just 2 meters that you were never getting back. But now with this change, if I want to spend meter on a combo, I get like a third or 2/3 of the meter back during the combo because I didn't use a drive rush during the combo. And I continue regaining meter as soon as I start landing hits after the air grab. So she just starts gaining meter a lot more efficiently. Like, she'll like build meter a lot more easily like this. Especially with this being like her new optimal starter. You really get to like hold on to your meter, especially mid-screen. Or just like the ability to land it, honestly, man. Like this is like so sick. This change is awesome. And now for the change that like, you know, I said it on my stream the other day, this change is like chicken soup to the soul, bro. So in the previous patch, you landed a level 1. Kimberly's dumbass would always fucking throw the can, even if you already had one. And I got it on unlimited cans right now. Oh my god. If you had 1 can before, you're trying to set up something later in the round. So you just throw that shit, and you just wouldn't get it back. So now, thank fucking god, she only throws the can if you hold down the kick. Like, look how beautiful that is. Like, she didn't throw it. She's not being a fucking dumbass. It used to make me so annoyed, man, because, like, before, the level 1 would, like, kill them. They're dead, and she still throws the can. Now we don't have to throw the can if it kills. We don't have to throw it if we're trying to regain some drive meter. Like, I can just let this whole animation rock while I build meter. That's a great use for level 1 now. Honestly, it's just like such an amazing quality of life change. It made no sense that like it went through like 8 months of beta and then a year of being in game where you have to throw the can. It was just such a bad level 1. Probably the worst level 1 in the game that had invo. And another part that made this level 1 so bad, it's got 12 frames of startup in the previous patch. Now in this new patch, it's only 10 frames of startup, which is still quite slow. If you meaty this with like a super safe jab, like as you can see here, the last bit of Kimberly's active frames and her recovery on her jab is like 8 frames. So this can beat supers up to like 9 or 8 frames. I'm not quite sure on that one. But this still loses to like super meaty, super good jabs. But I think most jabs at most timings will probably lose to this. Well, some jabs at some timings. Like, the jab has to be super meaty to beat her level 1 now, so you can actually use it as a pseudo reversal. Before, if you used it like a reversal, you just looked like a fucking dumbass, dude. I got so many screenshots of people's jabs being in my dome while I'm in the super animation freeze, and then Kimberly just dies like an idiot. So you can still hit this meaty. It's still not the greatest reversal, but it's a lot better as one. Honestly, I'm just super fucking happy she doesn't throw the can like a fucking idiot anymore. So we got an extra 200 damage on level 2, which was really nice, because I feel like whenever I did this level 2, I feel like it never killed, man. It like hurt my soul every time, because this did like 4 damage before, I swear. Apparently there's like some hitbox expansion things, but I don't really know what that's about. Maybe it works a bit better against fireballs now, but honestly, it's just sick that we have new routes into it. and it does more damage. That's all this change really does. Apparently, like, there's some new fixes for SA3 juggles, but there doesn't seem to be anything new with this. More of a bug fix, it seems. Like, this still whiffs mid-screen. So I don't think there's any new combos with the SA3 buff. But honestly, just with the changes I already went over, Kim is so much better. One thing that's really big for Kim is wake up drive reversal, because now between her buff level 1 and wake up drive reversal, she actually has some pretty damn good offense or defense. It's not like the greatest defense, it's still like pretty bad as far as the cast goes, but she's got pretty good options compared to what she has before. She actually has options is the thing, like before she had fucking nothing. So between all of these changes, I honestly think she's a pretty complete character. The only things that like stand out to me still is that she doesn't have a low. I still like remain by it, but that I would like to have like a Luke target combo kind of thing where she gets like a crouch medium kick target combo and hit confirm. I think that would be really cool. And that and just like the elbow drop still being a bit whack. But honestly, like she's got so many more routes now. She's got like side switches, mid-screen can setups, all sorts of like super cheap high, low, left, right kind of things. She can like bait throws all over the screen. The run change makes it a lot easier to get Oki without spending meter. The air grab change makes it a lot easier to maintain your meter without burning out. You know, just her B&B's got more damage. But you know what, Kim Bros, never stop complaining because our forward throw is still scaled. You know what they say, 99% of gamblers stop right before they hit it big. Honestly, I think that pretty much sums up the changes. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, you know, give me money, hit the buttons. It lets me do more videos. I think YouTube has paid me out like less than $100, and I've definitely spent like over 100 hours doing these videos. One thing to note, if you didn't know, Medify went through this strange thing where they're charging coaches like $30 a month just to be able to use Medify. And if you don't know, all Medify really does for us as coaches is they let people schedule shit. They don't really provide us with anything. So I'm going to be stepping away from Medify, but if anyone wants coaching on Kimberly or any other characters, I'm very knowledgeable on Kimberly and Manon, Luke, Akuma, etc. Just hit me up on Discord. I'm going to start putting my Discord in the description of my videos. I stream on Twitch. I shitpost on Twitter. Don't follow that. I have bad takes. Yeah. Thanks for checking me out. I appreciate you guys. Kim is high tier. I never thought I would say that. She's a great character. I'm still gonna play Akuma.